Hey guys, Matt from Mr. Matt's Arcade here. Today I wanted to show you how to update the games database file on the AlphaMax 3D game boards to include system suffixes. One of my bigger complaints with the system is when you're scrolling through the games list or when you use the search function, you don't know which system that game belongs to. The search function does have a way that you can break it down by system to know exactly, but when you're just scrolling through or searching, it's hard to tell which system the game actually belongs to. So I'm going to bring you over to a stock games list and show you what it looks like currently. Hi guys, so let's take a look through a stock game boards games list. So as you can see, I know these are PSP games, however, they're not labeled. Then when we go ahead, it's hard to tell when it switches over to a different system and what system it is. So it's hard to tell what each one of these systems is. You can take a guess by looking what the graphics look like, but it's not very easy. And then, same thing if we go over to 2D. Alright, these are probably Atari games. I know they are, but still, you see what my point is. It's hard to tell what system it is. You can go here and break it down, and this will be all your Dreamcast, Thomas Wave, and Naomi games, but it's still hard to tell which is which. And then the other way is when you do a search. So these are all the games with the word Donkey Kong in them. But how are you supposed to know which one's arcade, which one's 3D, which ones are PlayStation, N64, Game Boy, Advance, etc.? Can't really tell. You can just take a guess by looking at the graphics. Alright, so now that you've seen what it looks like currently, I'm going to show you what the games database file, where the games database file is located, where you can download an updated one, and how to swap them out. And then we'll take another look at the actual game board at the game selection screen with the updated names. So first you want to download the new database file. So if you follow the links in the description, I have 3 separate links. We have a games database file for version 1 of the game board. That's with the RK3288 chip. And then I have 2 separate ones for version 2 of the game board. We have the September version, which I believe was the first version, and then also the December version, which had a couple of slight changes. I believe, but I can't be sure right now, that the V1 and the September one are both exactly the same, but I put them up there separately just to make sure that you get the right one. So you'll follow the link, the Google Drive link, and you will download the appropriate file and then save it on your desktop or wherever you want. Then you're going to remove the SD card from your game board. To do that, first have the power off, and it's usually easier if you just remove the whole game board to start with. Sometimes there is a little piece of hot glue holding the SD card in place. You can just pick that off with your fingernail or carefully with a razor blade, and then the SD card will easily come out. Put it in an SD card reader, put it in your computer, and it will look like this. The one I'm working with right now is the December version of a V2 board. The V1 board, their file system will include all of these, but then a bunch of others as well, as the V1 had more files stored on the SD card. The V2 has more files stored on the onboard storage. So your games database file is located in the res folder, and it's called games.db. So I'm going to open up the stock one to show you what it looks like. If you followed my other videos, then you already know what it looks like, and you're already familiar with the games database, because this is also the file that you edit to add new games. So I'm not going to go through everything on here, because I've gone through a lot on my other ones. But for example, let's look at table EN. This is your display name. So as you can see right now, by looking through this, you can't tell what system these games are in. So now let's take a look at a newly updated database file. I think it's time I invest in a new computer. This one is really slow sometimes. So now if we go over and look at the table EN, this database file now has system suffixes present. So for PSP, it's -PSP. Naomi is -Naomi. Thomas Wave. DC for Dreamcast. PSX for PlayStation 1. N64 for N64. Arcade for all of your arcade games. That includes both MAME and FBA emulators. Well, it'll be easier to show you on the actual game board yourself, but for Nintendo, I believe I have it as NES. Super Nintendo is SNES. Genesis, I think I have -MD. And PC Engine is -PCE, maybe? I don't know. I'll show you on the actual game board. But anyways, so the new database file includes system suffixes. So to update it, I'll go back to your SD card, right-click the games database, and do copy, and then right-click and paste. Now this is a copy of your original database file in case for any reason when you copy over the new one that something doesn't work. It shouldn't, but if something gets messed up, you can always switch back easily by just renaming this one back to games.db. So now we can delete the original file, or you can move it somewhere else to keep it safe if you'd like. So we can delete the original file. Now go to wherever you put the newly downloaded database file and right-click, copy. Go back to the res folder on your SD card, right-click, paste. And then you will eject your SD card. And now we'll jump back over to the actual game board and show you the game selection screen on there with the newly added system suffixes. Alright guys, so here is a game board with an updated games list database file that now adds system suffixes to all the games. So as you can see, PSP games now say PSP. Naomi, Thomas Wave, Dreamcast, DC for Dreamcast, PSX for PlayStation 1, N64 for N64. So there you go. I think it makes a huge difference when scrolling through the games list and when doing a search. So Dreamcast now has all your Naomi and Dreamcast and a Thomas Wave games. As you can see, N64 has N64. MAME has arcade as a suffix. PSP has PSP as a suffix. PSX for PlayStation. SNES for Super Nintendo. NES for Nintendo. Game Boy Advance. GBA. GBC for Game Boy Color. MD for Mega Drive or Genesis. Under FBA is, again, arcade, so that includes all of your arcade games. And then PCE for PC Engine. And then Atari for all the Atari games. I think it makes a huge difference. And now when we search, this has all the words with Donkey in it. So we have Donkey Kong N64, a bunch of arcades, we have NES, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and Atari. So it makes it nice and easy to know which system the game belongs to. And I really do think it makes a big difference and makes it much easier to navigate everything. Alright guys, so that's all you needed to know to update the games database file to add system suffixes. I think it makes a huge difference in the quality of the game board, or at least navigating the games on the game selection screen. Alright, thanks guys, thanks for watching, and please, if you found this helpful at all, please hit that like button. It really does matter, and it tells me that people are actually watching this stuff and want more of it. And if you found it helpful or you have any questions, drop a comment. And if you want to get notified of more of my stuff, hit that subscribe button. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and as always, game on my friends.